Good morning, all. All the way down from Maine to visit your beautiful state. And I see some Mainers here. Welcome. It's such an honor for me to be campaigning along Chris Christie. And I will tell you that when I ran for governor this last time, Chris Christie was campaigning with me. And he was a major, major part of our win. And so I hope I can just do a little tiny bit to introduce my friend, the next president of the United States of America, Chris Christie.
All right, all right. Well, it is great to be back in New Hampshire. I want to thank my friend, the governor of Maine. You know, in 2014, as Paul said, when he was running for re-election, folks in the media, the political talking heads, the big money people in Washington, D.C., when I was chairman of the Republican Governors Association, they all told me, don't waste your time in Maine, don't waste your money in Maine, LePage is going to lose, spend your money someplace else. I talked to his campaign and I said, listen, I just got one request. I'll come in whole hog, all the money that you need, all the time that you need from me. Just let LePage be LePage, and he'll get reelected governor of Maine, and darn if he didn't get reelected governor of Maine. And he's a strong and he's a bold leader for Maine. His Welfare to Work program in Maine is changing lives every day. These are the type of innovative, conservative leaders who have strength of character that we need across the country, and that's the kind of leadership we're going to bring to the White House once again next year. No, as I was coming up here today, I saw that the President of the United States said that the reason he didn't understand the anxiety that Americans feel after the attacks in Paris and San Bernardino is because he doesn't watch enough cable news. Now, legitimately, the President of the United States said that, and of course, after the New York Times printed it, they then took it out because they didn't want people to see how out of touch, how absolutely out of touch this president is. Why would we ever take another 4 years of this type of weak leadership for America and for the world? We need to get rid of Barack Obama and his second mate, Hillary Clinton. You see, because I spent the last 13 years of my life in jobs where you have to make decisions. Every day you have to make decisions. 7 years as a federal prosecutor and 6 years as governor. Mr. President, you don't need to watch cable news if you actually have real life experience and know the American people to know that this country is in danger, and we need a president who will protect the American people. Our country's in a really dangerous time right now, a really dangerous time. And the American people feel it, and I feel it from them as I travel around the country, and especially here in New Hampshire. Men and women who love this country, who've helped to build this country, feel as if this country's slipping away from us. Back in 2014, I was in Florida campaigning for Governor Rick Scott. I met a woman on a rope line who I'll never forget. I was working the rope line with Governor Scott, and you know how you do it. You try to go really quickly, keep shaking hands with people and say hello, and this older woman grabs my hand and holds on to it. So I stop. And you know, I knew it was in Florida because in Florida, everybody announces their age to you. Right? It's the only state in America where everyone announces their age. So she introduced herself. She said, I'm 82 years old, Governor. I'm like, okay, good, check, got that. And she said, and I have a question for you. I said, sure, what's your question? She said, what's happened to our country? We used to control events. Now events control us. That's where we are now, isn't it? We have a president who just reacts to what happens in Paris. How does he react to the murders in Paris? He holds a conference on climate change. Then we have attacks in San Bernardino, and the president says, oh, they must be workplace violence. Yeah, because all of us, when we have a little tiff with our boss, decide to go home, get our wife, get into our tactical gear, get our semi-automatic weapons, and come and kill people. I mean, this is ridiculous. You would think after 7 years as president of the United States, he would know better, but he doesn't. And that's why the world is coming apart at the seams, and we can feel it. We don't need to watch cable news, Mr. President. We can feel it. Think about what happened in Los Angeles just this week. Just this week, they closed the entire Los Angeles school district. 650,000 children did not go to school because of a threat over the internet. Now, that didn't happen. It didn't happen years ago because the American people believed that the federal government was protecting them. The American people believed that our homeland security was the first priority of the President of the United States. Well, when I'm President of the United States, homeland security will be our first priority again for you to be safe in your homes and your schools again. We don't understand any longer why the president does what he does, but we know that he and Hillary Clinton have put together this foreign policy, a foreign policy where today there are fewer democracies in the world than there were when Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton came into office in 2009, a world where 250,000 Syrians were murdered by their own government, a world where we now have Russians and Iranians working together to prop up the murderous dictator who killed his own people and caused millions of others to run around the world, to Europe and to other spots in the Middle East, just to try to save their lives and the lives of their children. A country that now has such a weak foreign policy that even Israel, our greatest ally in the Middle East, wonders any longer where the United States will stand by them. The word of the President of the United States is no longer good. He has so often disappointed us and disappointed people around the world that we can't wait for the next 13 months to go by so we can send him back to Chicago where he came from. And there's lots of things that have been said about me over my career, like they've been said about LePage. And lots of comments about me, lots of things people say, but I'll tell you one thing people have never said about me or about Paul LePage. They've never said I'm misunderstood. They never said they can't understand what I'm saying. They never said that he doesn't keep his word. The fact is that we need a president of the United States once again whose word is good around the world, not only to other capitals around the globe, but whose word is good to each and every one of the 330 million American people who elect him to be their president. And so now what we need is a movement among the American people. You know, I watched Washington this week. It's a crazy place, isn't it? I mean, Washington is just a nutty place. They pass a $1.15 trillion spending plan. And one of my opponents in this race says he is completely opposed and will do everything he can to stop it, and then doesn't show up. I mean, Senator Rubio, listen, if you're gonna say you're opposed to something, how about showing up to work and voting no? Right? And that's the minimum you should have to do. It's a crazy place. Another one of my opponents in this race says that he's gonna carpet bomb Syria to see if sand can actually glow. Well, listen, that's real tough talk, isn't it? I mean, that's really tough talk. It'll make you think, wow, that person could be a commander-in-chief. He's tough. Except this year, when it came time to decide whether we were going to give our intelligence community all the tools they needed to protect us against terrorism, Senator Cruz voted to weaken America, to make America more vulnerable. He decided that it was more important to score political points than it was to protect the American people. Washington is a really strange place. Stay away, everybody, until we put adult supervision back in the Oval Office for Washington, D.C. Because I think what the American people want more than anything else is a president who says what he means and means what he says. Doesn't mean you're going to agree with me every day. You won't. I guarantee you won't. You know why? Because if you're looking for a candidate who you agree with 100% of the time, I want you to do something. Go home and look in the mirror. You're it, man. You're the only person you agree with 100% of the time. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is someone who will lead, who will tend to, here's the path. Here's where we need to go. This is what will help to make America great. And then we go together. We go together down that road. And if the road turns out to be a mistake, then we turn around and we do something different. But we don't just sit there and wring our hands and do what that woman in Florida said we're doing. Not controlling events any longer. Letting events control us. America's not a reactive nation. America's not a nation that follows. America at its greatest is a nation that leads without fear. Governor LePage and I were talking about this morning on the bus. You cannot lead from fear. You cannot lead to protect your poll numbers. You cannot lead by telling people, I'll get back to you. You lead by, in your heart and in your mind, knowing how much you love this country, what this country is all about, and being able then to look at the people who have elected you and say to them, this is the direction we need to go in. Trust me and I'll trust you, and let's go there together. That's what we need to do for this country once again. And believe me, we know Barack Obama doesn't understand it. And why would we think for 1 minute that Hillary Rodham Clinton is the answer to that problem? I mean, seriously, if there's a poster girl for insider Washington failure and dysfunction, why would we ever want to put a Clinton back in the White House? Now, this is my 53rd day in New Hampshire, more than any other candidate in this race. And I want to let you know that I brought some reinforcements. Yeah, that guy yelling in the back, he's one of them. 120 New Jerseyans have invaded New Hampshire today. I apologize in advance. I have been talking to you in 38 different town hall meetings so far, and a lot more to come, about my mom and dad. Many of you know those stories already about my mom who passed away 11 years ago. And I told you about my dad, and I've told you that he watches these town hall meetings live streaming from the Jersey Shore. And I've told you that the better I've been doing up here, he keeps threatening to come to New Hampshire and start campaigning himself. Well, today the threat has been realized. My 82-year-old father is here. Bill Christie is here with me today. Dad? But that's not enough. The 120 New Jerseyans on the buses who came up last night, my father and his wife who came up last night, not enough. Not enough, because we're only 6 weeks away. 6 weeks away from the New Hampshire primary. And so I need to bring the entire six-pack of the Christie family up here with me as well. So she has been here more than any other candidate running for president except for me. The next First Lady of the United States, my wife, Mary Pat. What would kids want to do when they finish their exams and end college break? What would they want to do more than come with mom and dad to New Hampshire? Let me introduce our thrilled eldest children from Princeton and the University of Notre Dame, Andrew and Sarah Christie. Yes, there's more. There's more. Our youngest daughter, who is in the 7th grade, who is taking a little break, much to the chagrin of her middle school basketball team, to come up here this weekend, sacrificing a little basketball time, the starting shooting guard for Villa Walsh's middle school team, our youngest daughter, Bridget Christie. Every family has one child that their parents talk about the most. Every family has one child who is the straw that stirs the drink. Every family has one child who says, "Dad, do not ever talk about me in political speeches." That's how much he wants his dad to be president of the United States. That he's actually showed up here today. He is playing politics with his dad, which is the first time, and I can remember that in a long time. He is our 9th grade son, the goalie on the middle school hockey team for the Del Barton School, our son, Patrick Christie. Huh? High school. Sorry. I screwed it up. He's the goalie on the junior varsity hockey team, not the middle school team. He has moved up from the middle school team. I'm sorry. I was so excited about the first part of the introduction that I messed up the end. So we have the whole family here. We have the whole family here because you all become family to us. After all these days in New Hampshire, after all the time that I've met so many of you, so many familiar faces here, from so many town hall meetings and so many meet and greets, so many house parties. You've all become family to us. We know you, so many of you, by your first names. We know you the minute we see you. People told me this was going to happen if you decided to run for president and you came to New Hampshire and spent time here. People told me that you would begin to develop a closeness with the people of this state that you wouldn't be able to even understand when you first arrived here. And it's happened. And our family feels it. And that's why the whole family is here and is going to continue to be here. And here's what I need in return. A couple of things. First thing, now I know since you're here, you all don't fit into this category. But I know that you get this manual as New Hampshire primary voters. You hand it out to all of you. The minute you get to high school, you start handing this thing out. And it says when a candidate comes up to you who's running for president, tell them, you're doing a good job, welcome to New Hampshire, and you're in my top 3. Right? I mean, every time I go up to someone in New Hampshire, they say, nice to meet you, Governor, you're in my top 3. All right, now, here's the deal. We are 6 weeks from the New Hampshire primary. It is time to end this top 3 business, okay? It is time to end the top 3 business. I want to be your top 1 of 1. Because when you go into the voting booth, as you know, it's not a multiple choice thing, right? You got to pick one of us. And now is game time. See, we have a country that is in desperate need of leadership. We have a country that is racked with anxiety and fear. We have a country that knows, is thirsting for strong leadership again in the White House. They want a president who they believe in, who they can count on, who will be there for them, and they for him. And it's up to you, up to the people in New Hampshire. I mean, the fact is there's 14 people still in this race. 14. I had someone at a town hall meeting stand up, I think it was in Loudoun, and he said to me, Governor, I don't know, I just feel powerless. I feel powerless anymore in the country. I looked at him and I said, sit down. You feel powerless. You're from New Hampshire. If you're powerless, then the whole country is powerless. You are the most powerful people in America right now. You are the most powerful people in America. You are going to take this race from 14 people to 4 or 5 at the most. February 10th, after you vote and everyone wakes up the next morning, 10 of us are going home. 10 of us won't be able to go on because of the verdict in New Hampshire. And so I don't want anybody in New Hampshire ever to either think or say that you're powerless. You are among the most powerful people in America because you are going to be the ones that decide who the other 48 states get to choose from as the Republican candidate for President of the United States. So when I say it's game time, everybody, it's game time. I've had a fun summer and fall. It's been incredibly entertaining. Being in this race is really entertaining. We got a whole bunch of interesting folks in this field, don't we? We got some senators, we got some governors, some former governors, we got some business people, we got a real character. We got a lot of stuff for you, and boy, have we been entertaining, right? It's been fun to watch. It's wonderful. Interaction, back and forth, all kinds of ideas, lots of smart folks, lots of people with lots of opinions. But showtime is over, everybody. Showtime is over. It's time to pick a president. We're not picking a legislator in chief. We're not picking an entertainer in chief. We're not casting a TV show. This is real. And our country knows that we cannot afford to make the same mistake that we made 7 years ago. We cannot afford to send someone behind that desk who's never made a consequential decision in an executive position in their life. We cannot afford to put someone behind that desk, whether we agree with their philosophy or disagree with it, who's going to sit in that chair the first day, spin around and say, gee whiz, isn't it great to be president? That's not what we need. See, new is exciting. New is shiny. It's, tingly. Gives you that little goosebumpy feeling when you see something new, right? It's really wonderful. New is great. New is wonderful. It's kind of like when you're driving down the road, you pass a Ford dealer. You see that new Ford truck sitting right outside the showroom. It's bright and shiny. It's got all kinds of new bells and whistles in it. You look at that truck and you go, man, I want that truck. I'd love that. That truck probably smells great. It's got that new car smell in it that everybody loves. It's like the smell of American success. Right? You get in that new car, you love that new truck. So you go and you buy it. You buy the new truck. You bring it home. You park it out in front of the house and it starts to rain. And it's pouring rain. It's lightning and it's thunder and the wind is blowing. It's pouring. And the shine starts to come off that truck a little bit. All the rain and the wind and all the rest of it. And then after all that rain, what's it create? Mud. There's mud all around you. And you go out, you're going to take that truck out now for the first time. It's this new truck. And you can't get out of the mud. The wheels are spinning. The truck's getting dirtier. It's getting frustrated. You're jamming on the gas. You're pulling off it. You're trying everything. You're like, what's with this new truck? And the only thing you're thinking about at that moment is, where's my old truck? Because damn, that truck always got me out of the mud. Every time I was in the mud, that truck got me out of the mud. Yeah, it was dinged up a little bit. It was a little dirty. It was a little scratched. But man, every time there was a storm, that truck got me out of the mud. I'm the old truck in this race. I'm the old truck in this race, everybody. There are a bunch of new shiny trucks in this race. Yes, they are. There's a bunch of new shiny trucks in this race. They look nice. They sound nice. But they ain't never been in the mud. They haven't been tested. They haven't been tested by the most liberal, largest media market in America as a conservative Republican every day for the last 13 years. They haven't been tested by being the federal prosecutor in the state that lost more people than any state other than the state of New York right after 9/11. They haven't been tested by the second worst natural disaster that this country has ever seen, having to try to rebuild a state that lost 365,000 homes in 24 hours. They haven't been tested by attacks from the media just because you're a successful conservative Republican in a blue state. The old truck is the one that's tested by that. And the old truck that they thought they stuck in the mud got out of the mud again, and here I am. Here I am. When we get on that stage against Hillary Clinton next September, you want that old truck on the stage. You want the truck that can go forward and go in reverse no matter how much mud she throws, because she's going to be throwing the mud, you know it. That's the Clinton playbook. She'll throw every piece of mud she can, and the new truck might not know how to deal with that mud. The new truck might get stuck. The new truck might try to clean itself rather than just get out of the mud. The old truck knows. You get out of the mud and you run over what's in front of you. And we got to make a pact today, everybody. We got to make a pact together. And I want to make this promise to you. If you make me the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America, Hillary Rodham Clinton will not get within 10 miles of the White House. Never again. Because there's no silver medal in this contest. No silver medal. It's win or go home. And if we lose this one, we're not going to recognize our country 4 years from now. We're not going to recognize it. So we cannot settle for anything other than putting a proven, tested, mature, ready winner on that stage against Hillary Clinton. I want to be that tested, ready, mature winner to stand up there for you and for your families and for what they need in this country. So this is a great send-off. It's a great send-off to our 4 days on that bus in New Hampshire. 4 days. Me, my family, Paula Page. Tomorrow we have another foreign invader coming to New Hampshire, just recently diagnosed as completely in remission from cancer. The Republican governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, is coming to New Hampshire. We'll throw him on that bus too. We'll throw Hogan on there, see how he's doing. We're going to come up here and make the case. And I want to make the case with you. See, because here's the last thing I'll tell you today. I had a great political science professor in college who became a mentor to me. He's since passed away. His name is Jim Souls at the University of Delaware. He's a wonderful Southern gentleman. Grew up in Virginia, got his education at the University of Virginia, and he was a mentor to so many students who came through that department at the University of Delaware. And such a great friend that when I ran for governor for the first time in 2009, near the end of his life, he drove up to New Jersey and did phone banking for me with that really great Southern accent. Let me tell you, people in New Jersey were like, I don't know who that is, but let's listen to some more of it because it sounded really good. He gave me some great lessons when I was at that school, and he told me, Chris, if you ever run for political office, remember something. The most important trait in leadership is listening. Now, I was 19 years old when he told me this. I had no idea what he was talking about. Because at 19 years old, no offense, Sarah, your listening ears aren't always on. Not always. He said, you got to listen. If you want to be a leader, you have to listen. He said, because, if you don't listen, you won't have followers. And he said, and a leader without followers is just a guy out for a walk. He said, that's not who you want to be if you want to run for office and try to change the world. I've listened. I've listened to the people of my state. And as chairman of the Republican Governors Association, I listened to people all across this country over the last few years. I don't need to watch cable news to find out that they're filled with anxiety. I don't need to watch cable news to find out they're filled with fear. I don't need to watch cable news to find out that they're filled with frustration, that the middle class hasn't seen their wages in this country go up in 15 years. I don't need to watch cable news to find out that the American people, more than anything else, want a president who is strong and decisive and honest. And so I put my listening ears on, and I've listened the last few years. And I run for president because I hear you. I hear you. I feel your frustration. I share your frustration. I share your anger, and I share your fear. But let me tell you what I also know, that there is no greater or stronger force for good in this world than a united American people. And what I intend to do as your president is to listen to you, to give voice not only to your frustrations and your anger and your fears, but to give voice to your aspirations and your dreams for our children and our grandchildren. And together, if you give me your trust and your faith and your confidence, we will restore this country to the greatness that is within each and every one of us. And then we will be able to pass that torch on to our kids and say, we've done our job. Now it's your turn. That's the type of America I want to lead again. That's the type of America I know is out there from listening to all of you. And if we work hard together for the next 6 weeks, that journey back to American faith and trust and confidence will start right here in the state of New Hampshire. Thank you all very much.